Behind every automotive success story lies a graveyard of spectacular failures. Vehicles that promised to revolutionize the industry but instead became billion-dollar lessons in hubris and miscalculation. These aren't just cars that sold poorly. These are catastrophic misjudgments that shook entire corporations, destroyed careers, and rewrote the rules of automotive business forever. From design disasters that defied common sense to engineering experiments that backfired spectacularly, we're diving into the 10 most expensive automotive mistakes ever made. Each represents a moment when industry giants bet everything on the wrong horse and lost more money than most countries' annual GDP. Prepare to witness automotive history's most painful and costly learning experiences. Ford Edsel, 1957 to 1960, $350 million loss. The Ford Edsel stands as perhaps the most infamous automotive failure in American history. Ford invested a staggering $350 million, equivalent to over $3 billion today, developing this revolutionary vehicle that was supposed to bridge the gap between Ford and Lincoln. The problem? Everything. Market research suggested consumers wanted a car that didn't actually exist, leading to a vehicle with polarizing styling featuring the infamous horse collar grille and confusing marketing that positioned it as both affordable and premium. Ford sold only 118,000 units over 3 years instead of the projected 200,000 annually. The Edsel's failure was so complete that its name became synonymous with automotive disaster. What made this failure particularly expensive was Ford's commitment to an entirely new dealer network, massive advertising campaigns, and unique manufacturing tooling, all for a car nobody wanted. DeLorean DMC-12, 1981-1983, $175 million loss. John DeLorean's dream of creating the ultimate sports car became a nightmare that consumed $175 million and destroyed countless reputations. The DMC-12 promised cutting-edge performance with its stainless steel body and gull-wing doors, but delivered chronic reliability issues and underwhelming performance from its 130-horsepower engine. Production delays plagued the Northern Ireland factory, quality control was virtually non-existent, and cocaine trafficking charges against DeLorean sealed the company's fate. Only 9,000 cars were produced before bankruptcy, leaving investors, the British government, and suppliers with massive losses. The irony? Thanks to Back to the Future, the DeLorean became more famous after the company's collapse than during its brief existence. This failure demonstrated how personality-driven car companies could spectacularly implode when vision exceeded execution and legal troubles compounded business problems. Pontiac Aztek, 2001-2005, $500 million development cost. General Motors' Pontiac Aztek represents one of automotive design's most catastrophic miscalculations. Despite $500 million in development costs and extensive market research suggesting demand for adventure-ready crossovers, the Aztek's polarizing design language alienated virtually everyone except Walter White from Breaking Bad. The vehicle attempted to be everything, SUV, van, truck, and car, while excelling at nothing. Its cladding-heavy exterior design looked assembled from mismatched parts, while the interior featured cheap plastics that contradicted GM's premium positioning attempts. Sales never exceeded 30,000 units annually, far below break-even projections. The Aztek's failure contributed to Pontiac's eventual demise, making it not just a product failure, but a brand killer. GM's costly lesson: focus groups can't predict emotional reactions to design, and trying to appeal to everyone often appeals to no one. BMW i3, 2013-2022, $1 billion investment. BMW's i3 electric city car seemed perfectly positioned for the future until reality proved otherwise. After investing over $1 billion in carbon fiber technology, revolutionary manufacturing processes, and sustainable materials, BMW created a vehicle that missed the mark entirely. The i3's radical design with rear-hinged doors, narrow tires, and distinctive proportions polarized consumers, while its limited range and high price contradicted the practical urban mobility mission. Most expensive was BMW's commitment to carbon fiber production, requiring entirely new supply chains and manufacturing expertise that couldn't be amortized across other models. The range extender variant confused the market positioning further. Despite technological innovations that were genuinely impressive, the i3 never achieved commercial viability, selling just 250,000 units over 9 years. BMW's costly lesson: being first to market with revolutionary technology means little if consumers aren't ready to embrace it. Chrysler PT Cruiser, 2000-2010, marketing versus reality disaster. The PT Cruiser initially seemed like Chrysler's salvation, a retro-styled wagon that captured imagination and delivered early sales success. However, what began as a $1.3 billion development triumph quickly became a cautionary tale about unsustainable business models. Built on outdated neon platform with poor reliability, cheap interior materials, and inadequate long-term planning, the PT Cruiser's initial novelty couldn't mask fundamental flaws. Quality issues plagued owners with transmission failures, electrical problems, and structural weaknesses that destroyed resale values. More damaging was the brand positioning confusion, marketed as both practical family transport and lifestyle statement, satisfying neither demographic completely. By 2010, sales had collapsed from peak years exceeding 140,000 units to barely 20,000. The PT Cruiser's expensive lesson: initial market enthusiasm means nothing without engineering excellence and clear brand positioning to sustain long-term success. Saturn brand, 1985 to 2010, $12 billion total loss. General Motors' Saturn experiment represents automotive history's most expensive brand failure, consuming over $12 billion during its 25-year existence. Conceived as GM's answer to Japanese quality and efficiency, Saturn promised revolutionary manufacturing, no-haggle pricing, and customer-focused culture. Initial success with the S-Series gave false hope, but fundamental problems emerged quickly. Saturn's dedicated Spring Hill facility created unsustainable cost structures, while GM's inability to maintain Saturn's unique culture led to typical corporate bureaucracy. Worse, successful Saturn models were eventually rebadged Opels and Chevrolets, destroying brand authenticity. The final nail came with SUV market shifts that Saturn couldn't address with its limited lineup. When GM filed bankruptcy in 2009, Saturn disappeared entirely, taking billions in investment with it. This failure demonstrated that creating new automotive brands requires decades of consistent investment and cultural commitment that few corporations can sustain. Fisker Karma, 2011-2012, $1.4 billion collapse. Henrik Fisker's vision of luxury electric motoring attracted $1.4 billion in investment and government backing, only to collapse spectacularly within 2 years. The Karma promised 400-mile range through plug-in hybrid technology wrapped in stunning coachwork, but delivered chronic reliability issues, battery fires, and production nightmares. Outsourcing final assembly to Valmet in Finland created quality control disasters, while Hurricane Sandy destroyed hundreds of completed vehicles. More expensive was Fisker's commitment to revolutionary battery technology that simply wasn't ready for production. A123 systems battery failures led to recalls, lawsuits, and technical problems that couldn't be resolved. Celebrity endorsements from Leonardo DiCaprio and Justin Bieber couldn't overcome fundamental engineering failures. When production ceased in 2012, only 2,450 Karmas had been built, leaving investors, taxpayers, and suppliers with massive losses. The Fisker failure proved that automotive startup success requires more than beautiful design and bold promises. Yugo GV, 1985-1992, brand destruction through poor quality. The Yugoslav-built Yugo GV promised American consumers European engineering at unbeatable prices, $3,190, when competitors cost twice as much. What seemed like a brilliant market opportunity became a $500 million disaster that destroyed an entire country's automotive reputation forever. Quality control was virtually non-existent, with cars arriving missing parts, featuring misaligned panels, and suffering immediate mechanical failures. Stories of Yugos breaking down during dealer test drives became legendary, while consumer reports called it barely transportation. More expensive than immediate losses was the long-term damage to Eastern European automotive credibility. The Yugos' failure demonstrated that price alone couldn't overcome fundamental quality deficiencies, while creating cultural jokes that persisted decades after the last car was sold. By 1992, Yugoslav civil wars ended production, but the Yugos' reputation as history's worst car ensured no follow-up products would ever succeed in American markets. Tucker 48, 1948, Revolutionary Dreams, Regulatory Reality. Preston Tucker's revolutionary sedan promised to reshape post-war automotive design with innovative safety features, rear-mounted engines, and aerodynamic styling decades ahead of its time. After raising $26 million from investors and generating massive publicity, Tucker produced just 51 cars before regulatory and financial pressures destroyed the company. The Securities and Exchange Commission investigation into Tucker's financing, combined with established automakers' political influence, created insurmountable obstacles for the innovative startup. More expensive than the immediate financial losses was the precedent this failure established for automotive innovation, demonstrating how regulatory capture and industry resistance could destroy even the most promising automotive ventures. Tucker's failure cost investors their money and Americans potentially safer, more efficient vehicles for decades. The few surviving Tucker 48s now sell for millions, representing what might have been an automotive innovation if entrepreneurial vision hadn't been crushed by established interests. Bricklin SV1, 1974-1975, Safety Sports Car Contradiction. Malcolm Bricklin's vision of combining sports car performance with revolutionary safety features attracted significant Canadian government investment, only to produce one of automotive history's most expensive failures. The SV1 promised gull-wing doors, integrated roll cages, and color-impregnated acrylic body panels that would never need painting. Reality delivered chronic production delays, quality control disasters, and financial mismanagement that consumed over $23 million in government funding. The New Brunswick factory struggled with fiberglass production, door mechanisms that frequently failed, and assembly processes that couldn't achieve consistent quality. Only 2,154 cars were produced over 2 years before bankruptcy ended the dream. More expensive was the political fallout as taxpayers questioned government investment in private automotive ventures. The Bricklin failure demonstrated that innovative automotive concepts require more than government backing. They need experienced management, proven manufacturing expertise, and realistic market assessment that the SV1 project fatally lacked. These 10 automotive disasters represent more than just business failures. They're expensive lessons in hubris, market miscalculation, and the unforgiving nature of automotive commerce. From the Edsel's $350 million lesson in market research limitations to Saturn's $12 billion brand-building failure, each story demonstrates how even automotive giants can spectacularly misjudge consumer desires and technical realities. What makes these failures particularly painful is their preventability. Warning signs existed in every case, but corporate momentum, ego, and sunk cost fallacies pushed these projects past rational stopping points. Yet these expensive mistakes also drove innovation, forced industry evolution, and created the competitive pressures that ultimately benefit consumers. The next time you see an automotive success story, remember the billions spent learning what doesn't work. Because in the automotive industry, failure often costs more than success, but teaches lessons that last forever. These disasters remind us that in automotive business, confidence must be balanced with humility, and revolutionary vision must be grounded in engineering reality.